In this video, we are going to complete the tests for our job class. And at this stage, we could ask ourselves what should happen if we call job.fromMap and any of these properties are missing. For example, if the job name was missing, then we wouldn't be able to show a job in the application. And maybe the right thing to do would be to return null because the data is invalid and we can't show a job without a name. So let's try this in practice. And what we can do is to copy and paste this test. And here we're going to say missing name. And then inside the test, we are going to remove the name key. And we're going to expect that the job is null in this case. And now we can run this test. And as we can see, we get an error. And by the way, I'm not too happy about the description that we get for the actual value here. And instead, I would like to see the properties of the job instead. And to ensure that this works properly, I should override the toString method. And here, what I could do would be to return a string, which is ID of $ID, and then name, and then rate per hour of rate per hour, like this. And with this change, I could run the test once again, and the test fails again, but the description is a lot better. And this can really help when tests fail. So I recommend that we always implement toString for our classes. Okay, so let's get back on track. And we should update the fromMap method. And here we could add a check that says if name is null, then return null. And with this change, we can run the test again. And this time the test has passed. So this is another example of writing a failing test and fixing the code to make it go green. And if you read data from Firestore, I encourage you to always think about which properties can be null and which should never be null. And depending on your use case, it might be safer to throw an exception or return null if some data is missing. By the way, I just realized that these two tests should have been inside this group. So I'm going to cut them and I'm going to paste them inside here like this. Next, I think we should also write some tests for the toMap method. So here we can add a new group called toMap. And then it has a group body. And here we can create a test with a description of valid name and rate per hour. And this time we can start by creating a final job equals job with name of logging and a rate per hour of 10 and an ID of ABC, like this. And then we can expect that job.toMap is equal to this map with two properties, a name of logging and a rate per hour of 10, like this. And this is a good way of checking that we are creating the correct data for writing to Firestore. By the way, you can notice that I'm not expecting the job ID to appear over here. And that is okay, because the job ID is located inside the API path, rather than being a key value in the Firestore document. So let's run this test. And this goes green as well. Okay, so I think this covers our overview on how to write tests for model classes. And if you're writing code that will be used in production, then I suggest that you should have more tests so that you can cover all the possible edge cases. And by the way, finding all the edge cases can be quite a fun exercise, and the outcome is that you will have a fully tested class that always behaves correctly. Okay, so we have now covered all the basics about unit testing. And this should give us enough confidence to start adding unit tests in our Flutter apps. In fact, if you want, you could try to write tests for other classes in this project. For example, the entry class that we have defined over here. In any case, we will write some more unit tests later, once we have introduced a few more concepts. But as a next step, we are going to look at widget tests. So let's continue on the next video.